Holden, and we decided to get a new puppy.
Essentially, the
And we were
Department of Ed
potty training this dog in the middle of the winter, like we got it in the middle of the winter.
Oh, yeah, we did too, every time.
And so
And then I had a baby, and then it was
AAA
like, my then 3-year-old really
must
struggled because it
provide
was like
them with
struggling with baby,
office space
struggling
so
with the
that
dog.
they can coordinate.
I finally said to Eric, I was like, we have to like get rid of this thing. So I'm over here on somebody, and it's not the dog's fault, but
That's how I feel right now. We have 4 dogs in my house. I feel like I'm yelling at something, but
I can't get rid of it. So it did not work well for us when we had a 3-year-old either. But we also had a new baby, and it was,
I just keep.
I know.
It's gonna get better. And like, if you're not a really good week, it's like about 20 now, we're getting through.
do you feel like just training it has been hard?
Hour today. It just like, it will relax and then sleep, you know,
Yeah.
we'll go over and meet, get revved up and then.
Actually, she's like really chill if the kids aren't around. She like
right?
Right.
just lays around.
And
And
that's
it's
last smoky too, like,
Yeah.
after 3 weeks, I goes to bed.
Right.
It's great.
But also she was like raised for the first 6 months of her life in a house with no kids. And so like it's been very different for her to have.
All right, 5:05, call meeting to order. Stand, pledge allegiance.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackie, you have a roll call. Moving on to the agenda. Copy of the agenda in front of them. Are there any additions or?
I do have 2 additions under personnel. I did receive a resignation from Ann Agason late yesterday. So I've added that. If approved, we'll just kind of update this. You guys should have access to her letter there. And then Mr. Harmon has a recommendation for Riley Wilkins as governor assistant. So she's been kind of filling in as a substitute. Right now, we'd just like to make that official. So if you guys are okay with that, those are the 2 changes I have. Jackie, you didn't have anything?
Anybody else? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
Making a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda as listed with the 2 additions. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Moving on. You're not here to speak tonight. And moving on to the approval of minutes of past meetings, which is attached.
Yes, there are 2, the special
Correct.
meeting and the regular.
I did not see any corrections. Anybody else have anything they noticed? Once anybody's ready, I'll take a motion to approve those meetings of past minutes as listed.
I'll make a motion to approve the past minutes.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the minutes of the past meetings. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next on the agenda, financial items. Jackie.
We'll start with the financial report. Want to take a peek at my summary there. The Series 2024 Save Bond proceeds in the amount of $2,524,000 were deposited on February 7th. Proceeds will be split between Frontier Bank and Premier Bank money market accounts until construction payments are due. And then there's an attachment that just shows the confirmation from the lawyer. And then the new budget process beginning fiscal year 25, which we have to approve before April 30th, requires some change in past practices for the 2 new people. You don't know any different. For the 2 previous people, it's probably still a little bit new to you, but usually we only have 1 public hearing, and this year we're required to have 2. So before March 15th, I have to send a maximum property tax dollar amount to the county, and then the county will take that information and send it out in hard copy to every resident. So if someone lives in 2 separate counties, which is possible, they could get 2 different notices, but just Central Lyon is just in Lyon County, so that's where ours would go. But at the same time as the school's notices, along with that is going to be all the other public entities like your city. So their notice is going to have a breakdown of each taxing entity on it. It's going to be brand new information for residents. It's going to be kind of confusing to some. They might not understand why they're getting this. And so then we need to host a public hearing for that. So that cannot be done before March 25th. So we need to determine a date after March 25th to have a public hearing for any questions from the public regarding this tax statement. So as we look at our calendar at the end of the meeting, that's one of the things we'll need to determine because I have to put a publication out on the website, social media, and the reporter with 10 to 20 days notice. So it can't be 20 days longer than before the meeting. It can't be 10 days before the meeting. It has to be right in that 10 to 20 day window. So we'll kind of need to look at that. And then after we have that hearing, if there's no really big issues that come from the people that might have a comment, then we can adjust our tax rate. We can't go higher from what I've given the county. We can go down. So, and then we need to have another public hearing that is our set tax rate, which is what you guys are used to. And typically we do that in the April meeting. And then I have to certify by April 30th. So the biggest point of this is whatever dates we set, we're going to have to stick to, because once they're publicized, just like the public hearing on Monday night, once it's publicized, we can't change it. If we do, I shouldn't say we can't, we would just have to republish and then wait that standard. So I have attached proposed SSA options in that attachment. The issue is going to be if the legislature doesn't set the supplemental state allowance, the growth allowance, the percentage before that is due to the county, or before I have to publicize it. So I've given you some scenarios here of what possible percentages the state could come back with, all the way up from 0 to 3.5, and then a surtax percentage. So our instructional support levy, we do a portion of it in surtax, meaning it's not property tax. It helps lower our property tax base. We can go anywhere from 1% all the way up to 20%. We've typically been anywhere from 5 to 9. I'm putting in 3 to 4, just sort of keep us around our current tax rate, which is 10.99. We do need to levy quite a bit more in management this time around because we're running at a deficit. And if I don't levy over the next couple of years a more significant amount than I've been levying, we'll be in even more of a deficit just because of our early retirements. Our property and casualty and liability insurance just keeps going up, and some other factors. So with all those things plugged in, I'm not quite sure where Mr. Dorfman kind of land on that max property tax rate, but what I'd like to do is set it as high as possible so that we have room to go down in the event the legislature comes back at 0%. Anything's possible. As you may be following, there's a lot of proposed changes this time around, so we just don't know. So keep that in the back of your mind. The final tax rate will obviously not be probably one of these, but it'll be close to one of those. But just so we can get those tax notices out to the counties so we can move things along. And then those hearing dates we'll talk about at the end of the meeting. But okay, any questions on any of that? It's a lot of information, but just so you're aware of that extra hearing and then that notice, if you as board members would get a call from someone, just so you're aware. It's not just the school, it would be the city, county, all the taxing agents in that county. Yep. Okay, financial reports. We'll start with the annual treasurer's report. As you can see, we have a balance of about $3.7 million in cash. Still a little bit up from where we've been in the past, even though we're not levying cash anymore in the current year. But as you can see, our expenditures are down and our revenues are down this time of year, but it just kind of is a cyclical event. So we'll keep monitoring that throughout the year. But as you can see, everything is kind of status quo when it comes to where our expenditures and our revenues are kind of heading out. And then activities report. The activity fund has $255,000 in it. Majority of that is spread out between, I probably shouldn't count it. I don't even know how many activity accounts we have, but all co-curricular and then curricular activities. So anything from basketball to robotics to speech to the band and choir fundraising trip, which has started with cookie dough sales. So that's kind of the things that are held in the activity fund. And then Hot Lunch Fund has $512,000. I don't know if Mr. Dorff is probably going to update you on maybe a repair that's going to be coming through that might be a little bit more significant that'll be able to be paid out of that Hot Lunch Fund. But as you can see, we have a significant balance in there. Student construction continues to run at a negative until that house sale is complete. FFA Farm, $5,300. Start balance with $3,800. They had some expenses come out of there. And then split fund, again, that is where we've been paying that HSA contribution to our staff and where we take on some of our risk with the self-funding of the health insurance. And special revenue fund report is all of your kind of your capital reports, capital project funds, including management. And management is sitting at $38,000. So when we get to the end, we probably won't have any more come out of management for this year, but when we get to July and August, when our new policy is due, that new policy is going to run around $190,000+. So that's why we need to continue to levy a little bit more each year. Plus we have early retirements coming out of there in July 1st as well. Physical plant and equipment levy, $154,000. Playground, $111,000. Save, this is before that $2.5 million arrives. This is as of January 31st, so that's why you're not seeing that significant balance. And then debt service is just a flow through account to pay our debt twice a year. And last is the payroll totals, which just kind of gives you an idea of what goes in and out of payroll for the general and hot lunch fund. And then, of course, our summary list of bills. There are 3 attachments, some prepaids that I kind of have to get going out of the account before our board meetings for like utilities and such, standard, and then additional ones that I added. So take a look at all of those and let me know if you have any specific questions. There's quite a list there.
Is the lunch fund balance pretty average?
It's been higher the last several years because for 2 years after COVID, we received ESSER dollars to pay for free lunches for everyone, and yet we were able to claim. So we just kind of sat there and built the bill. So it is higher than normal. So we made some improvements, and we continue to look for things that the kitchen needs to do that. So one of the things that is coming, I'll let Mr. Jordan explain because he got to go there and see it. But
Yeah, well, we just had our walk-in freezer, the condenser failed. Luckily, Steve caught it as quickly as he did on the weekend, and we were able to get a repairman here, but the parts there's no parts available, so we got to put a whole new unit in. So as you can see, with over $500,000 in that, it's not as big of an issue as it could have been, but needs to be addressed. Luckily, the city let us kind of unload our stuff into their storage downtown, the Forster building, and then repair should be done by Friday. We'll get it back up here for next week. So they're kind of going back and forth right now.
I don't know what significant is. I'm guessing it'll be between $5,000 and $10,000.
Yeah.
Probably to repair. So
How
not
has
bad.
the free breakfast gone over? Like, did we get a large influx of kids that are eating breakfast?
You know, I haven't had Darsha run the numbers to see and compare it to
I was
last year.
curious. I know we changed that last year. For reference, we had a large balance last year, so we decided to do free breakfast.
We couldn't do free lunch.
Right.
It's
You can't do
illegal,
free lunch.
but we can offer free breakfast. So
So I was just curious if the numbers really jumped or how that's going.
Run the numbers. Get you a report for
forgot about it, honestly.
It's not urgent. I was just curious. Like,
Yeah, it's a good question. So yeah, lots of bills to look through. So let me know if you have any other questions or any question related to school finance. I'll try and answer as best I can. There's a lot of information most of the time, so.
what was I saw one for the IASB workshop. Is that like an old one? Or is that up
for when the three of us
Oh,
went
got
to
it.
the.
Okay, well, I saw it and then I was like, do we have them coming up? So then I kind of.
Nope.
Like,
It was-
Two new board members, Mr.
yeah,
Jordan.
yeah.
And then there was
Makes sense.
one, I think in the additional, I just attended a budget webinar to try and learn about
Sure.
all this new stuff, so.
All the timelines and such.
I mean, I wasn't questioning like the amount or anything, but when I saw it, I thought, really?
Did I miss
I missed it, so.
No,
Whenever you're ready, I'll take a motion to approve those financial items, including the list of bills.
I'll make the motion to approve the financial items.
Second?
Motion accept, and a second to approve those financial items, including those bills as listed. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Moving on. Administrative reports, discussion.
yeah, recognition, I put the kind of the winter sports recognition in there. Girls wrestling team had 3 girls that qualified for the state meet. In addition, the team won the conference dual title and the conference tournament title. So both of those events, this was the first year that we had those. So congratulations to them, being the inaugural Siouxland Conference champions. And then as you can see, Riley Weiler and Lucy Konieczny were conference champions at that particular weight class with 4 others that were runners up. So great season for the girls. In the staff recognition, Jeff Jager was named Northwest Iowa Girls Wrestling Coach of the Year. And then Dan Cruz, the AD of the year as well. So all around, just a tremendous second season. Numbers are strong, not only at the high school, but at the middle school. So looking forward to that program continuing to flourish in the future. Boys wrestlers, we had 3 guys wrestling at state today. Or when I looked this afternoon, Reagan Hashy's on the kind of the championship side. He won both of his first matches, so he'll wrestle tomorrow. And then Sam won his first match, but lost his second, so he'll wrestle, I think, later tonight, kind of in the consolation.
Tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Morning as well.
Okay, so then Trevor lost his first match, and he'll have a match tomorrow as well. Yep. Interesting to note, the Levi and Lane Kruger, or Kramer and Lane Kruger were individual champions at their particular weight classes. And all of our state qualifiers, interesting or not, were either runners up or didn't place. So again, maybe a little bit of a surprise to win the tournament championship. Just a testament to kids and the coaching staff. Maybe not the greatest dual season record, but really rose to the occasion down in Sioux Center. So congratulations to them. Girls basketball team, back-to-back conference championship, 17-1 in the Siouxland, and then won their kind of opening round game last night. So they'll host Kingsley Pearson, River Valley on Friday, 7 o'clock here. That'll be our last home basketball wrestling event for the high school. We got some middle school games that'll keep going, but if the girls should win on Friday, then they'll play at a neutral site for the sub-state game, regional final game. And then the boys also won on Monday. They're on the road, actually, to Kingsley Pearson. Could have just played a boy-girl doubleheader like we do most nights of the year. But they had to go down to Kingsley to play their game tomorrow night. So they finished 9-9, 500 in the conference, 11-10 overall. So congratulations to them. I know they had their all-conference meetings earlier this week. That'll be published once the final Siouxland school is done. So hopefully the girls are playing in the state tournament and we don't find out for a couple more weeks. The boys continue their path as well.
Okay.
Community contributions. Mr. Harmon, do you want to talk about Kiwanis and the Reformed Church Steen?
Yeah, both organizations approached me. Steen Reformed Church is given annually. They reach out to all the area schools and just use their Sunday school program to gather some money. So they give us $350 for opening lunch kits to help families out. And our local Kiwanis, I don't know if they did it through a fundraiser or just had enough money that they reached out And so they give a gift of $1,000 to make sure all our kids have coats, hats, gloves, winter stuff. We did go down and buy 26 pair of gloves from Atlas. By the way, that's usually our biggest, as our teacher is always handing out gloves. You know, that glove monster just doesn't let that hair stay together, so. Hand out, so that's the first big thing. So, yeah, it's really generous gift from those two organizations.
Do you just want to roll into your report?
Yeah. Yeah, and then I just wanted to really fun month for us. It's reading month. So fortunately, our grades all the way TK through 4 were able to meet with Adam Wallace. He's the author for this series, How to Catch. He's got 26, I think, different books under that series, How to Catch a Dinosaur, How to Catch a Yeti, How to Catch a Unicorn. Really an entertaining author. It was really good. And kids kind of got a lot out of it. He had a lot of humor. I also include what they report back, and then we'll tell you those numbers. The big thing that we use Reading Month for is to get kids back in our library, use some of our online tools and make sure they understand how, as we get research papers, those things coming up, how that can be used through our library. And it just shows the breakdown of what we do for the month. So a lot of fun. We have some dress up days. We just do some different things to get to the lull of February. So yeah, Mr. Sherk does a wonderful job organizing that. And just try to help when I can.
Thanks. Jason?
Yeah, just a quick update on what's going on in the 7th through 12th grade building. We're celebrating kind of a CTE month. So this week is FCCLA week, so you might see pictures or hear about different events with that. So that's that Family Consumer Science, CTSO, the different organizations that we run to try to compete and do different things with the kids to explore their talent areas. Next week is FFA week, so I got a larger role to play next week, but we're going to continue to promote that program. We had a lot of kids have some success over the weekend and going into sub-districts on the 22nd. So it's a great time as any to celebrate, again, Rochelle Herbert, Teresa Hugagorn, and our long-term sub, David Stites DeMars, who's stepping right in, doing a nice job, championing that FFA program. They're doing a fantastic job and really helping those kids out. The kids are doing great too. The officers are doing awesome this year. The end of our quarter is going to be the end of the month. We're rolling the fourth quarter right now as far as the staff works. We're already starting to think about next year and course offerings and getting out the course descriptions. And then obviously we have May term coming up, so kind of identifying the different passions for the kids as well as the staff and what we can accomplish during that month of May.
You gonna throw a bail next week?
No, I'll probably be more picking stuff up and sweeping. Meeting. No.
Do they still do that for the Olympics?
We do. So we're gonna, we kind of run like a 2:15 dismissal schedule on Friday, and all the high school people watch and participate. And that's fun. It can be messy, but we've dialed it back a little bit. So
Very good. Thanks, Jason.
yep.
As Jackie alluded to, legislative session is in full swing. Friday is what we refer to as the funnel deadline, so there's a lot of bills debated, discussed this week, but in order for anything to move on, it needs to be passed out of either the Senate or the House by this Friday. And so there's been a lot of talk around reorganization of the AEAs, reform of the AEAs, and the original bill from the governor also proposed raising minimum teacher pay. So that's really taken up a lot of the debate and the discussion at the State House over the first month. New versions of those were going to be debated today. They were supposed to have a committee meeting at 3:00 and it hadn't started when I tried to connect via Zoom. So I know something will be passed by Friday out of one of those houses and chambers, but it's not going to be the final version. So it's going to continue to be debated and discussed, but it's got to make it out of one. Another bill that's been delayed because of that is the state supplemental assistance, so our SSA. So there is a law that says that the legislature is supposed to set it within 30 days. Well, that was last Friday. So they haven't even met their statutory obligation. So as Jackie alluded to, that puts us in a little bit of a crunch when it comes to our budget. It can be confusing for the public because we're going to set it at 0, like we're getting no new money, because we want to be able to lower it, but we can never make it higher. So proposals from the governor said 2.5% new money. The House, I just got an email this afternoon, I think they're going to pass out of their committee 3%. The Senate is usually lower, so that's where the horse trading comes in a typical session. What complicates it is the proposal of raising minimum teacher salary. So if you recall, the governor said she's going to dedicate $100 million to raising the minimum teacher pay. That's going to also impact probably what SSA is. So those two bills are going to continue, but we don't have any resolution because they haven't decided ultimately what they want with that new minimum teacher salary and the reform of the AEAs. They're kind of all tied together. And that pushes back not only the budget, but then that pushes back our negotiations. It's hard for us to negotiate with teachers when we don't know what the new money's going to be. And so when in conversations with Mike Groen, he's kind of the chief negotiator for the association, and he understands, and they're watching it just as closely as we are. So when we have clarity on that, we will kind of begin that process. The other thing that's maybe a little bit more hopeful is revisions to the start date. If you remember, in law, it says right now, August 23rd is the first day you can start. Both chambers have proposals to move that either to the Monday after the state fair or the Tuesday after the state fair. So when I talked to you guys last month, my hope was to kind of bring you a draft. We did the survey, we've got the feedback, but because of those two pieces of legislation, instead of putting the committee together and then going back to the committee and revising it, hopefully we'll have that sooner rather than later. And by moving it, it gives us 3 to 4 days of flexibility, where if we had to start on a Friday at the first, we don't have as much flexibility. So, and hopefully by our next meeting, I'll be able to give you a recommendation, and we'll have convened our calendar committee to make those decisions. And then one last thing I did want to update the board on. I talked to Scott and Amy about, we as a conference have received a request from Western Christian to join the conference. And then simultaneously, Sibley Oshedin had been considering leaving the conference. Just last night, Sibley voted to stay in the Siouxland Conference. A little bit of a surprise, which is good for us. As we've said all along during this whole process, we really like the fact that it's a 10-team conference. So I guess our hope going forward is that we're able to maintain that going forward. And we'll continue those conversations collectively as the 10 current members. So I know there's been articles in the review and there's been a lot of chatter on social media, but a little bit surprised that Sibley just made the decision that they made, but that's good for the current composition of the conference.
Was it a close vote or anything? Was it a,
5-0 to stay.
okay,
Wow.
very good.
So
Do we have to
What
go
is-
through the whole vote thing with Western Christian again, each district?
not
Like
yet.
we did in the last time?
We might get to that point. It just, again, would probably depend upon how hard Western pushes.
We don't have to take any action.
We don't have to take any
And
action.
someone asked me that as well, so that's why I was asking.
If you guys are, want to continue our previous stance, I don't think we need to take any action until maybe we have an alternative to consider. But if you guys are okay with me kind of continuing our previous position, that's what I'll continue to promote. Okay.
Scott,
Yes.
Jordan, yeah, you guys weren't on the last time, but yeah, you guys have anything to add to that, we'll certainly take that under advisement, but.
The way it is. What those Western, they're traveling up to Minneapolis and fighting.
Yep. Volleyball team is playing in Omaha, tournaments in Des Moines. Yeah, a lot of travel for them.
Not our deal.
Exactly. That's all I have.
All
Yep.
right, moving on to old business.
I was gonna, sorry, board committee.
Oh, yep.
I was just gonna say, I have a follow-up meeting. I spoke to each of you about the assessor conference board. And I did talk to the West Lyon representative as well, and a couple of the county supervisors. And I think, based on conversations with all of you, it sounds like West Lyon feels very similar to what our discussions were. So that's most likely what will be represented and talked about next week. But we have a follow-up meeting on the 27th again, so. I have not spoken to, I think it's Austin Lloyd from George. He was not at the meeting. I've not spoken to him. He hasn't reached out. I've spoken to Derek with Science Board, but sorry. I didn't know.
That's good that caught that. I went right past it. So any other board committee report?
We did have a sharing committee meeting, really no changes discussed, just kind of reviewed the fall and the start of the winter seasons. But we're not we're in the first year of a 2-year agreement, so it's not like we will be revising it in the interim. Things continue to work well, and communication between the ADs and the coaches of those shared programs has been really strong, so.
Anybody else before we move on? Okay. Now we'll get to the old business and consider the second reading of the revised and policies as listed. Everybody had a chance to review those again this last month. Go over those. So we approved the first reading last month. So if anybody has any questions or comments, otherwise I'll take a motion to approve that second reading.
I'll make a motion to approve the second readings as listed.
Second.
Okay, motion and seconds to approve those second readings of the revised and new policies as listed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Consider rescinding policy, which is policy 70302, which was included, I believe, in 70301, which we just approved.
Yep, so. Motion and second.
I'll make a motion to rescind, to approve rescinding policy 70302.
Second.
Motion and second to rescind the policy as listed. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? New business, first item.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to take all three of these together. I'm just going to kind of talk collectively. But you do have a copy of Carrie Davis's resignation. I'd first like to just thank her for her service to the board. I believe it's been 8 years that she served. So she just at a different point in her life, she's accepted a position with her church where she's got to devote a little bit more time, and she's got a daughter at Dort and a couple girls still here at school, so she's busy. So we want to thank Carrie. The next two items, if approved, the resignation, we need to publish notice to the community that by policy, we're going to appoint a new member, and the public has 14 days to gather petitions if they want for us to hold an election. So that didn't happen when we appointed Amy, didn't happen when Carrie and
October of 15 is when she was appointed.
when Carrie was appointed, but it's just, by code, you have to publish, and if 30% of the voters from the last election, which was last November, so if we have more than 150 people sign a petition, then we'd have to hold an election. So
How soon would that election?
within 60 days of the petition being filed. So again, I don't anticipate that happening, but we do have to publish notice. And then number 3 is just an application for candidates to let us know that they're interested. This is the same application we used when Amy was appointed. If you want to make any changes or have any suggestions for revisions, please let me know. Otherwise, it's short enough that it's not overwhelming, but gives you a little bit about who the candidates are and what their interest is in serving on the board.
Very good. Yeah, definitely want to thank Carrie for her years of service and wish her the best going forward. And yeah, if anybody is interested or you know of anybody, have them reach out to Jackie or fill out the application that is listed and get it back to Jackie as soon as possible. So, any questions? Otherwise, I will take a motion and a second to approve the first three items that's listed.
Make a motion to approve the first three items as listed.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve those three items as listed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Moving on to resolution for the sale of parcel A, current bus barn. Yeah, we held our public hearing Monday night, and we had one bid from Kids Club for $35,000. Yeah, other than that, I don't think there's anything else. Unless anybody's got any questions, we'll take a motion and a second to approve that sale.
Make a motion to approve that sale.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second to approve the sale of parcel A for bus barn property. Yeah, just the parking lot area to Kids Club for $35,000. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Moving on to playground installation.
Yes, I hope to get a quote or interest from Visions, our general contractor for the bus barn, but when I talk to them, they are not interested in playground installation. And so ABC Creative here is who we've ordered the equipment through. So their quotes included $106,000 is what it is. It includes not only the playground, but also the preschool playground. So both of that comes to a total of $106,000. You can see it has fencing equipment, concrete work, excavation, and then removal and disposal of the current equipment. And then we would also have a part to play as well. You know, there's a dead tree in the middle of the playground. We have worked with the tree removal company, so I said we'd take care of that. We also going to relocate the Lyon there because we're going to expand the preschool playground, so that'll be our responsibility. Talking to Steve, you know, he wanted to do that instead of turning that over to somebody else. So again, we'll continue to work with ABC Creative, and we're going to kind of repurpose some of the pea gravel because what's going there is going to be rubberized mulch. And I'm still working on some numbers for how if we wanted to expand that, we can still add that as a change order.
That's what I was gonna wonder if this included.
It does not. So
And this was how much more than what?
it's about $30,000 more than what we had originally budgeted, but it really is right on the number that was quoted from Wilchin a year ago.
Sure.
So we would hope that we were going to be able to save some money this time around, but the playground, the equipment, the installation is right at what it was quoted a year ago.
Any other questions? I will take a motion in a second to approve the playground installation quote.
I would make a motion to approve the quote from ABC Creative.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, moving on. Number 6, consider policies as listed. Okay.
Yeah, 3 policies here. So 705 has to do with kind of what we were just doing, the purchasing and bidding process. So recommendations from School Board Association and kind of aligning with what the thresholds are written in code. The new thresholds would be, the minimum kind of which I'm authorized to spend is up to $10,000 without coming to you, which would be having some quotes from $10,001 to $196,000. And then anything over 196, we'd go through a formal bid process and then take the lowest bid. So that's really the change in the bidding. And then there's the regulations have to do with we're using grant dollars or federal dollars, needing to add some additional language there. 70506, a new policy recommendation from the School Board Association. Just kind of the 10,000 foot view on that is reiterating to our public that you guys authorize our purchases, and our purchases are used for public good, right? So, again, new recommendation. And then 70704, dealing with the audit. Currently, our language in there says that every 3 years, we're going to go out to bid for our auditor. As you've been hearing us and experiencing, it's more and more difficult to find auditors. And so School Board Association sample policy doesn't even have that. So at some point, a previous board had put 3 years in there. But as we've been finding, the more flexibility we have when we do go out to bid, which our current contract is for 1 more year, if we're able to provide different auditors with maybe a longer term or a shorter term, it maybe gives us more flexibility. So that's why I'm recommending that change to that policy.
Very good. Any questions at all about those 3 policies? I would assume we'd bring these back
Next month.
next month, so, okay. No questions, I will take a motion in a second to approve the first reading of those policies as listed.
Make a motion to approve the first reading of the policies as listed.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Moving on to 6B, review.
So again, these policies, we don't have any language change, no differences from what's recommended from the School Board Association. So just kind of reviewing these, I don't have anything other than what I've provided for a summary for these policies. You can see a couple of them were renumbering, but the content themselves is remaining the same.
Okay. Questions at all? Not, I will take a motion and a second to approve those policies as listed.
I'll make a motion to approve the policies as listed.
Second.
All in favor of approving those policies as listed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Moving on, the vendor relations policy 70504, rescinding that policy.
Yes, so, again, an older policy, not recommended any longer from the School Board Association. And again, maybe the sign of the times with our new kind of security entrances, vendors aren't walking in here, trying to solicit like maybe they were when this policy was adopted back in 1995. So, it's not recommended anymore. If somebody's coming into our building, they've got to go through Jason or Steve before they're going to talk to a teacher about something. Very rarely are we solicited, and if they are, they're either talking to a building principal or myself. So I don't think we need that one any longer.
This, if I'm understanding correctly, this 70504, you would take that out completely as well?
Yep.
So like where it says no member of the board or employees of the district will accept material gifts or money from any person, that would be out also?
That's already in our ethics policy.
Okay.
So You can accept up to, I think it's what, $7 or something?
Like that.
Activity, that's all you get.
Exactly. So that, again, incorporated already. It's kind of redundant here.
Yep, okay, and I just, I'm in purchasing up at LPO, so I know how much they will give you. So I was just curious on that.
Yep. Good question. Any other questions at all? If not, I will take a motion in a second to approve the rescinding of policy 7504.
I'll make a motion to approve rescinding of 70504.
Second?
A motion and a second to rescind the policy as listed. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Personnel. I think we can take all of these.
You bet.
That's one.
Yeah, like I said, Ann Agason, I thank her for her many years of service to our kids and our teachers. Her resignation will be effective at the end of the school year. Want to thank Sarah DeVries for stepping forward to help coach track. Excited to have her join Jeff Cruz and Brad Rabling in that middle school track program. Nice to have another female represented in that middle school program as well. And then Chris Carlisle, maintenance employee and bus driver. Approved tonight, he'll start next week. Excited to kind of be back to full staff in that maintenance department. He does not currently have his CDL, but he'll begin working on taking those tests and doing all the supervised driving and such. Our goal is, as soon as possible, but definitely by the beginning of next school year. And then Riley Fulkins is, we talked about before, adding her. Riley actually graduated in December with an elementary education degree. She's just kind of going through the licensure process. So once she's fully licensed, we're planning on using her as a sub in addition to a para.
Does Ann still do, is she in charge of the concessions?
She splits concessions, so Kyra and Nikki did football season, and then Ann and Toby are usually in charge of manning
Inside.
during the winter season. Mr. Bresky is ultimately in charge of concessions, but yeah.
I knew she could. Will she still do that? Or you don't know?
I don't,
Okay, I didn't know if that was part of her.
she is paid for that, but it's
Sure.
in a separate hourly wage, so I don't know what their agreement is. At this time, I think she would be resigning all.
Okay.
Simply because she made the comment that she'd just like to sit and watch.
Mhm.
So we'll be looking for someone to help Steve out, if anybody. Ultimately, I'd like to have someone take it completely over from Steve, but we've tried that. There's just no one interested typically, so.
3 hot dogs at the end of
That's right. And as Ann would tell you, we do make the best popcorn, so she wants to train someone how to make the best popcorns.
And the best cookies. I think about the only place you get the cookies, so.
You're exactly right.
Any questions about the hiring and resignation?
I'll make a motion to approve the resignation and hirings as listed.
So,
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve the hiring and resignation as listed. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed? Next to announcements and dates to read.
Yeah, the big thing is we need to find some dates for our meetings, and then the ones that we pick, we really need to stick to. So looking forward to March. Our regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, the 11th. That is a parent-teacher conference night. We've had our March meeting on parent-teacher conference night in the past. If you wanted to move it, our last couple months, we've done 5 o'clock on Wednesdays. It's up to you guys what you want to do, but we can't go beyond Wednesday because we have our 30-day limit. We can go sooner in March if we want to, but we have to appoint a new board member by that
I was
Wednesday.
thinking just the 25th, so then I thought, then we could just have a public.
We have it. And all of a sudden, one of us that, we can't do that.
Can't do that.
Can't do that.
I was like, why wouldn't you just?
So we do ultimately have to have the meeting and then a
Yes.
very short
Yep.
Yep,
public hearing.
And that public hearing is, again, dependent upon who shows up and asks questions.
Mhm.
You know, we're not gonna have another business meeting. It's just like we had the other night. We gotta post the meeting. If there's visitors here, then we gotta answer the questions. We're not taking any action.
I will be gone the week of March 4 through 8, but that's not to say that I can't do the internet.
I'm fine with it where it's at if that works for,
I'll
I mean,
be
I would-
March 11.
you will, okay.
Continue.
You know, the only thing I would say is typically I always say it's okay to miss a meeting, and it really is, but because you're gonna appoint a board member, I think you all five
Yeah.
should be a part of it, so I don't know if the 13th works
That's fine for me.
at 5 o'clock. That way we still have time to get to evening,
Yeah.
family and church. March 13th.
March 13th is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, that works fine for me.
Okay?
Otherwise, I always say miss a meeting. I mean, that's why you have a quorum. It's
And then the special meeting, like Jackie said, the first date we can have it is the 25th.
we can wait a little bit if you want to give.
I'm gone
Okay.
the 25th, get back on the 28th.
Can we
So,
do like April 1st or no?
There is
Just varsity golf at least.
varsity golf is the only thing on Monday the 1st. Okay, what time do we want to do a later one? Do we want to do an earlier one? I can dictate that. You can dictate that too.
You said what was better for you.
Makes
6:55 was kind of in the middle of the night. Do you want to go a little earlier?
okay.
Okay. You wanna
What
do-
date did you say?
April 1st?
Monday the 1st.
You want to do a 5 or a?
I can find the 5 o'clock meetings, but if you guys.
This will just be that hearing,
Right.
and that can be an even 5 o'clock. If that's what you want to do.
Like
I'm
it?
okay with that.
You guys are so easy.
April 1st.
April 1st, 5 p.m. and that's just going to be a hearing.
If we're gonna have the public hearing on the 1st, the 8th would be the second Monday, but that's our home track meet.
And you have to have 10 days in between, right?
I can publish anytime, but it'd be nice to not have a school board meeting on a home track night.
Yeah.
So 15th would be better if anybody,
And those track meets are at different places, so.
I'm gone, but
does the 15th work for everyone?
That works for me.
Or we can go to Wednesday nights again at 5 o'clock. As long as we tell people, we can start moving to Wednesday nights. It's up to you guys.
Are you back?
no,
No, you're
I'm
gone.
back till Thursday.
I kind of liked Wednesdays at 5, to be really honest with you. All of us have kids and events and stuff. I understand it's church night, but I also haven't heard any feedback about us not, being on a church night. We're live streaming, people can watch and tune in.
And I think as long as we're the option to be done in time to go to other events, but I don't know everybody's church schedules. It's up to you guys. We can sure do the 17th. Give it a try for a couple months and see how it goes.
I'm fine with it.
Works for me.
Let's do
Yeah,
April
we're
17th.
17th. Okay. 5 o'clock. So that one will be the next hearing and regular meeting.
And the public hearing's at 5? Not
That would be like 4:55,
Okay.
public hearing, and then the meeting starting at 5. I'll send this out in an email.
So March 13.
At 5 o'clock is a regular meeting. That's going to be when we take applications and appoint your new board member. Then April 1st is going to be at 5 PM, just that initial hearing for the budget. And then April 17th will be 4:55 hearing, 5 PM regular meeting. Now that I've said all that, just making sure I don't have anything. Doesn't usually happen, but, okay.
Very good.
Any other announcements or dates you want to talk about? That's it, okay? Well, then we're gonna move into
On to bill review.
the fun stuff. Chunk.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Chunk.
Thank you.
Chunk.
No,
I'm already halfway.
well, that's true, but now I think it should be.
No, you can do it. Chit chat when your knees go.
That's really one of those. But you want to color? Blue or black? Yeah, it's red.
This is like my Flores.
It's got a hole in it.
It's going in the garbage when I get home.
Your current one?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
I heard this.
She was sitting